And happy Sunday evening, local time from Metro Manila, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. Sorry for the slowness and possible lack of synchronization between my voice and the video. I've had some problems with the internet connection tonight. Anyway, it's my intention to share with you, dear fellow YouTubers, some national news headlines. As always, I start from Reuters. World news headline and sees so repetitive news headlines. If one news has already been mentioned earlier, I will mention it again. Cast protest vote against new security laws. Pope Francis said on Sunday he was heard in Constantinople, as the city was called then, and was actually called until the late 1920s, I think, by the Ottoman Turks. And then in 1934 made into a museum, and then late this week, the Turkish president, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, announced that the Hagia Sophia would be reconverted into a mosque. He was the latest religious leader to condemn the move. Hamburg sex workers demand Germany's brothels reopen. They have been almost exactly 200,000 people in Germany have been infected with the coronavirus so far. Britain is to spend 705 million pounds or 890 million US dollars on EU border infrastructure. The transition period, which started on January the 31st, 2020, when Britain left the European Union, will end on December the 31st, 2020, after which will be treated or filed membership application. China releases a Beijing law professor who has criticized its autocratic president Xi Jinping and the ruling Communist Party. Raises flood alert to second highest level. Among the worst hit ones, state media reported. Hungary imposes border checks, quarantine to prevent spread of virus. Bollywood's Bachchan family hit by corona joins Amitabh. Safety first for Spaniards voting amid new coronavirus outbreaks. Galicia and the Basque Country held regional elections. The second round of Poland's postponed and controversial presidential elections, the ruling populist right-wing president, Mr. Andrzej Duda, against his center-right and liberal and pro-European Union opponent. The election result possibly will shape Poland's future relations with the European Union. Turning to BBC World News. Russia probes Mueller. Ex-US Special Counsel Robert Mueller intervenes after President Trump. Donald Trump finally consents to wear a face mask in public. The Mali president dissolves the top court amid unrest. Thousands protest in Israel over the coronavirus pandemic's handling. Fox News writer resigns over racist messages. Bosnia marks 25 years since the Srebrenica massacre. Walt Disney World reopens amid COVID-19 surge. Church body wants the Hagia Sophia decision to be reversed. Russia Far East protest over governor's arrest. 5 dead. This police-free protest zone was dismantled, but was it the end? Journalists in shock as Russia hunts enemy within. Could this become Mexico's bloodiest year on record? Last year already was a record number a sad record year in the number of recorded homicides. The chaplains on the coronavirus front lines. What unites young people against Obama and Trump? Iran's female Yeah, because of the slow internet connection, it takes for a while to re-upload the page. Hopefully it will. Okay, 5 killed in siege at a South African church. How Cuba has managed to flatten the curve. French bus drive most sophisticated stealth jet fighters. The man accused of killing 8 police officers dies in shootout while trying to flee custody. Then, prominent researcher of jihadi groups shot facility is the latest in a series of unexplained incidents. Saudi consulate staff described strange events on the day of prominent regime critic Jamal Khashoggi's death. That happened in early October 2018. He walked into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, in order to obtain the valid divorce document from his first wife so that he could have married his Turkish fiancée. He never emerged from the building alive, and actually his body may well have been dismembered. Syrian families. Indigenous trackers are teaching scientists about wildlife in Africa. Canadian mobster killed in shooting police. Bolivia's interim president becomes the third head of state to test positive for COVID-19. That, I think, was announced already on July the 10th. Facebook shuts down network of fake accounts tied to employees of Brazil's Bolsonaro and Sons. And Poland's deep divisions on show in presidential runoff vote. And a Far Eastern Russian governor has been arrested over years-old murders. Singapore's ruling party won another general election, but its support fell to a near record low. Usually it's 80% plus. Vikas Dubey, or Dubey, accused of killing 8 police officers, dies in India shootout while trying to flee custody. The national security threat, US politicians think. Walmart is about to give Amazon Prime a serious run for its money. Starbucks will require customers to wear masks. Americans are rapidly shrinking their credit card debt. This small island chain is leading the way on hydrogen power. And finally, to the Philippine news headlines from the Philippine Star. So, police urged to observe health protocols in enforcing them, punishing violators. The Quezon City Police Department says that a police officer mauled, robbed, and made reports he was apprehended by campus police on the University of the Philippines Diliman campus. 18 patients should go to facilities according to IATF. Task force to local government units health protocols. Sorry. Against the extension of the ABS-CBN television channel franchise's extension. The Philippine National Police Deputy Chief will eventually allow backriding for all. The World Health Organization said on Friday it is still possible to bring coronavirus outbreaks under control. MRT-free operations are to resume on Monday, or actually today. Metro Rail Transit. Journalists slammed the House of Representatives panel decision to terminate the franchise of ABS-CBN broadcasting company. U.S. ruling a boost to smoke-free alternatives. In marking his first year in office as a lawmaker, Senator Bongo continues his quest in helping improve various government services. Philippines sees highest day. This was from Saturday. highest single-day COVID-19 recoveries as infections surpass 54,000. Then we'll turn to Channel News Asia. Reload it. Sorry for the slowness of the internet connection. Yeah, possibly there are many users. Anyway, Workers' Party says it's reaching out to existing town councils for a handover in Sengkang GRC. This news item is connected to the just held general parliamentary election of 2020. Opposition vote swing shows people are looking beyond bread and butter issues. Congratulates Workers' Party's Sengkang team on election win. Ukrainian jet downing 6 years ago during Ukraine. Australia's Victoria State, in other words, 100 plus. 500,000 Hong Kongers, okay, sorry. Then Poland police hunt for fugitive ex-soldier and his pupil. Tokyo confirms 206 cases of COVID-19 infections on Sunday, according to a report. COVID-19 leaves Spain's interior a tourist desert. Thailand plans November human opts out of wearing social justice message on jersey for the National Basketball League or Association in the United States. Mixed reaction from Hong Kong expatriates to British visas offer. Student at Jurong West Secondary contacts and last line of defense, healthcare workers among hundreds of new Victorian coronavirus cases. Victoria is one of Australia's smallest states, and it is located just like the National Capital Territory, New South Wales and Tasmania in southeastern Australia. The use and abuse of language, why the unemployment rate is not what it seems. Does Australia's smallest state have the answers to Victoria's COVID crisis? Australian Defence Force arrives at South Australian Victorian border to support police. Why is there controversy over Turkey declaring Hagia Sophia a mosque? Federal member of parliament self-isolates after dining at Sydney pub linked to 9 coronavirus cases. Many Victorian children are about to return to remote learning. Parents, here's your survival guide. Tracking the coronavirus spread, Victoria records 7th day of triple-digit cases, rises in cases. Australia is treading carefully with its response to it. What happens next is uncertain. Will Callahan, the 14-year-old boy who went missing on Mount Outdoors, and he couldn't look happier. Well, may God be thanked and praised for protecting him from death. Want to make your own mask to help protect yourself and others during the pandemic? Here's how. New South Wales community reels from South. No alternative but to return to remote learning in Victorian lockdown zones. He died alone. Granddaughter's message for Melburnians after 90-year-old's COVID-19 death. Gabrielle Cordwell says she doesn't want another family to have to go through this after her one of a from COVID-19 fundamental screw-ups that Victoria, although that was an order, and the National Party now. In September of this year, New Zealand is scheduled to hold a parliamentary election. The ruling Labour Party New Zealand First coalition is trying to win another term, with the Labour Party's leader and Prime Minister Miss Jacinda Ardern at the helm. Big read, one law for all, call over lockdown roadblocks. Sport, hard 26-year-old world champions shock death. Weekend road toll at 5, fatal crashes in Marlborough, Waikato and Otago. Business, Fonterra warning, small rivals fear farmers locked in under new law. To legalize is to normalize, school's cannabis message raises eyebrows. Sport, Phil Gifford, what I learned from the Crusaders' win over the Blues. House prices, find out what your suburb's Auckland Council CV could have been. Queenstown migrant couple denied return to New Zealand. Audrey Young, the case for and against Woodhouse. Isolation facility set up for deportees from Australia. Lifestyle, I thought this was a hoax. Person in their 30s dies after attending COVID party. Auckland's dams not enough to save the city from drought. Don't plan on overseas students until 2022. New Zealand schools face huge financial losses. Finally, to Africa news. Yeah. Let's see. To English. Republic of the Congo's Justice Minister resigns. Sudan ratifies law banning female genital mutilation. Hostage situation in turbulent South African church kills 5 scores arrested. Burkina Faso ruling party endorses president for re-election. Africa COVID-19 statistics, 578,307 cases, 12,989 deaths, 284,972 recoveries. Tanzania president endorsed for re-election rejects third term idea again. Somalia's regional presidents meet, national polls. West African Economic Community. Death of Prime Minister Koulibaly. Abidjan residents express shock. Democratic Republic of the Congo ruling party protests appointment of tainted election boss. To run or not, Ivorians wait Ouattara's third term move. Mali president calls for to European news. Finally, again, sorry for the slow refreshing time of the page. Britain launches a 790 million euro plan for EU border check security. Portugal, UK COVID-19 quarantine restriction hits Algarve tourism. Bulgaria, like most, forced the government to resign. Of course, he or she is free to make recommendations. Borisov is now in his second term as prime minister. He's a controversial politician in presidential elections in 2016. Drop in tourism leaves orphan baby elephants without funding. France passes 30,000 deaths as officials call for increased vigilance or watchfulness. Can France's Green Party recreate their success on the national stage? The Greens were the big winners of the municipal elections that had to be held in 2 sets and in 2 separate months in March and in June because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Poland, how the far right could be kingmaker in Poland's presidential. Britain, post-Brexit guide, where are we now? Latest updates. It's because of COVID-19. How close are we to finding a coronavirus vaccine? The outgoing German federal chancellors or prime ministers, Angela Merkel's EU presidency is a critical test for EU solidarity view. And then turning to the Finnish news from YLE, the Finnish public broadcasting company. Let's see. Renewable energy subsidies are rising this year, partly due to windy conditions and low electricity prices. Police launch investigation of Jyväskylä senior housing complex fire. The key question is why and how the fire spread so quickly on the residential center. Jyväskylä's party, Ms. Katri Kulmuni, won't seek return to cabinet before 2021. She resigned in early June 2020 because of the controversial over 56,000 euro communications training at the taxpayers' expense that she had undertaken since being elected as the Centre Party's chairwoman in September 2019. She admitted that she is tense or nervous when she's making public appearances. The training was supposed to have been only for her finance minister's position, but it turned out to be also for her Centre Party chairman or chairwomanship rather. And because of the controversy over that additional training, she resigned, although she did offer to pay back the money. She was replaced, interestingly enough, by former Prime Minister Mr. Matti Vanhanen, who also led the Centre Party earlier this century. 30,000 furloughed workers miss out on unemployment fund benefits. Coronavirus from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is Canada's public broadcasting company. Canadian Prime Minister and Liberal Party leader Justin Trudeau's past ethics transgressions hurt the Liberals. Will it happen again? An analysis by Éric Grenier, the CBC's political analyst. Dead man walking mobster Pat Musitano has been shot and killed. What happens now? Pasquale or Pat Musitano was killed on Friday in Burlington, Ontario. Mafia experts say the notorious Hamilton mobster was living to improve oversight of Canada's federal police organization, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, says Goodale, former Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale. Quebec police confirm deaths of 2 missing girls, continue search for father Martin Carpentier. Oka crisis 30 years later, the legacy of the warrior flag. The 78-day standoff that began on July the 11th, 1990, between the Mohawk community of Kanesatake, Quebec police, and later the Canadian military put Indigenous rights on the international stage that summer, along with Karoniak Taje, Louis Hall's warrior flag. WE Charity lays off, or We Charity lays off contract workers who would have administered student service grant. It's time to let family caregivers back into Ontario nursing homes, medical officers say against several employees. Northwest Territories doctors meet with officials to discuss letter calling to end distancing restrictions. Sorry for Washington Post. I'll refresh that page also. Well, the Washington Post first. Trump has not talked to the eminent scientist in more than a month, even as coronavirus infections have surged in large swaths of the country. Maybe because, contrary to President Trump, Fauci has been telling the grim truth. With death toll rising, pressure mounts on governors to require masks. Trump dons mask in public for the first time months after health experts said everyone should. His decision to wear a mask during a trip to a military medical center, obviously he doesn't want to develop the virus like his good friend, President Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil. Surgeon General Jerome Adams may be the nicest guy in the administration, but is that what the United States needs right now? Your mask feels uncomfortable. Get over it. As a surgeon, I know how vital they are. In Brazil, descendants of US Confederate veterans are asked to retire divisive symbols. Perspective as Confederate monuments fall. Don't forget Bree Newsom's athletic act of protest in 2015. Well, USA Today, polls show Trump is losing. They said the same thing in 2016, although now Trump is losing by more percentage points than Hillary Clinton. I don't think Hillary Clinton ever had more than a 10% edge, or even that, during the relevant polling season of the last 2 or 3 months over Donald Trump. According to Robert Mueller, Roger Stone was prosecuted and convicted because he committed federal crimes, and that is why he disapproves of Trump's decision to pardon the controversial Stone. Chief, 2 slain police officers never had a chance in Texas shooting. Man in viral Costco video defends himself. Report ESPN suspends popular Wojnarowski for profane email to senator. NBA, or National Basketball Association insider Adrian Wojnarowski has reportedly been suspended by the network for a profane email he sent to Senator Josh Hawley. Same school, different skin, how race colors. And to save time, let's turn to Mexico News Daily. Risk map. Deputy Minister blames states for faulty data. Adult story night via Zoom YouTube features Michoacan storyteller. Mexican health workers face higher risk of dying from COVID-19. Law student raffles goat to pay for kidney surgery. Baja sees, or Baja California, located between those 2 states, sees big surge in coronavirus cases, putting pressure on hospitals. Southern Quintana Roo moves back into red on COVID risk map. Okay, sorry, those items, 3 of those items were already, or actually, news. Wealthiest country to ruin Venezuela's lessons. Evidence Brazil government links chloroquine to lower contagion. Philippine president says the country would be in trouble had it followed Brazil and the United States. There's no military wing in government, says Brazilian defense minister. Pastor Milton Ribeiro accepts Bolsonaro's invitation to head Brazil's education ministry. And finally, to newsnow.co.uk, a roundup of the latest Latin American news. Threatened people of the Amazon urge Scots to pull millions from oil company accused over lockdown. Dr. Atlas, coronavirus surges linked mostly to protests and proximity to US-Mexico border. Iguazu Falls reopened to local residents after the 100-day COVID-19 closure. Separate bedrooms, Bolsonaro's first week with COVID-19. Desert for plants beloved by top chefs. Brazil asks investment firms to adopt protected Amazon areas. Hilary Beckles' Sir Everton Weeks, A Tale of Two Islands. And Mexico reports 6,094 new coronavirus cases and 539 more deaths. So that was my roundup of the latest international news headlines. I wish you a very healthy and blessed and safe new week ahead.